very happy to hear that you enjoyed your visit last year. But I have a question actually. So I was very impressed by the plans now being adopted, having been adopted by Parliament, and I'm curious to learn from you how that target setting for 2050 was done, this 50% figure, so what your benchmark was there. And maybe a second question, you mentioned carbon pricing and emissions trading. Of course, here in the European Union, we have quite some experiences, good ones and not so good ones, and how we can do emissions trading better, also maybe auctioning, that's of course another option to raise public revenue. So are there contacts between Taiwan and Germany and the EU to maybe share experiences or maybe also some lessons that we have to learn here in Europe? Thank you.
Thank you for these two questions. Let me touch on the first one, which is how did we set up the long-term goal? It looks like a magic number, but there is rationale behind it. Actually, in the negotiation process, some people say you have to set up a long-term goal. Some people say, hey, let's keep it flexible. So the final answer is like this. Let me tell you the secret, sort of. If we look at this so-called 50% reduction of our 2005, the value there is almost 1990 of Taiwan's emission. So that kind of fits into the Kyoto principle there, although we only reach in a long way, like 2050. That's kind of the basic idea there. So this for the first question. Second about is carbon pricing. Actually, when I visited here last year, I learned a lot about the design, the mechanism, and also the success or not to success experience here in Europe. Part of the not success was blamed for the 2008 financial tsunami, as I heard. So that really, I would say, a good lesson for all of us. Tell the truth, actually, we have been studying this, but we noticed that there are different so-called markets now, or different experiments. So I would say we watch this closely, and not really decided. And this is the area we really need to have some, I would say, cooperation. If the global have several different markets with different guidelines or rules, regulations, then it can be a mess. So that's my feeling about it.
Do we have other questions on the floor? Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Jürgen Landgrebe, German Emissions Trading Authority at the Federal Environment Agency. So we had already these discussions in several conferences in Taiwan about the issues that we have to solve in Europe to improve the ETS system. Well, but I would like to ask Professor Dr. Wei a question, because you have announced for the program that you also have considered the impact on the economy in Taiwan. So this ambitious target of 2050, what will be the impact of the Taiwan economy for the future?
This is a question worthy of $1 billion, I think. Yeah, I can tell you the impression of the situation in Taiwan. On one side, industries or many people worry about this. They had this resistance or reluctance in the past years. So actually, the act itself was in our parliament for 9 years. It just passed this year. What I can observe is this. Actually, many of Taiwanese entrepreneurs or industries, they are international in nature. So they know or they feel the trend or the pressure from international communities. they feel they rather like to have a legal basis to make sure what our regulation is, or what the target or long-term goal is. Otherwise, the uncertainty there is the most thing make people anxious. So that's the kind of basic feeling of this. Second question about the influence of economy. I should say I really have no big or great ideas about it. But I can tell you is this. By the end of this year, or should I say the Paris COP21, Taiwan also would like to submit our own INDC, intended national determined contribution. So we are working on that. Now the methodology there is we, follow many other countries, we set 2030 as the middle point. So we do very, I would say, detailed inventory, try to find out our pathway or roadmap towards at least 2030. So every viable, feasible ways are considered. And for the next 20 years, that means from 2030 to 2050, we leave it open at this moment. Before 2030, we do whatever we can do now, by all means, and also we like to build up or to incubate the new ways. In our words, if I can translate, we are looking for some paradigm shift from technology also to our attitude towards the planet. So that's the long way thing. So sorry, I really cannot answer really specifically about the economy influence. Now we will see. I mean, I think by by 1 or 2, 3 years, after many of the subordinates guidelines, regulations being implemented, then that time will be more clear. Thank you for your question.